Hello, my friends. Powerful changes are underway in Ukraine, and soon we will find out which direction they are heading. Right away, I want to briefly mention the new appointment of the Commander-in-Chief. When Zelensky said that fresh and modern perspectives are needed on the frontline situation, and then introduced Syrskyi, I decided that you should at least know a little about who is now leading the Ukrainian forces.
To General Zaluzhny for 2 years of defense. I am grateful for every victory we have achieved together, and thanks to all Ukrainian warriors who heroically bear the brunt of this war. Today we had a frank discussion about the changes needed in the army. Urgent changes. I offered General Zaluzhny to continue to be part of the Ukrainian state team. I would be grateful for his consent. Today, I have decided to renew the leadership of the armed forces of Ukraine.
Let's start with the fact that all the information is available on Wikipedia, freely accessible, and I didn't invent anything myself. So, Syrskyi was born in Russia, in the Vladimir region, in a military family. Later, he moved to Ukraine, but went to study in Moscow and graduated from the Moscow High Military Command School there. So this indicates that he was trained according to Soviet methods, and there can be no talk of any modern combat tactics here. As of today, he is 58 years old, and his parents still live in Russia. His father is a retired colonel of the Russian army. I understand that Ukraine lacks good military experts, so the choice fell on Syrskyi. Overall, we hope that the changes will be for the better. So he was the one who led the successful advance on Izium, also successfully defended Kyiv, but people are already actively comparing him on the internet to Zaluzhny, and even first jokes have appeared.
Shoigu. Give up, you can't win. Syrskyi. The Russians don't give up.
Overall, you can leave your opinion on this appointment in the comments, so it would be very interesting to know your attitude. Now, let's move on to the situation along the front line. And yesterday, there was a successful prisoner exchange in the Sumy region. 100 Ukrainian soldiers were released from captivity. In the Kupiansk direction, the situation remains tense. The occupiers conducted 4 attacks during the day, but the Ukrainian forces held their defense, so the front line remains unchanged. The main battles continue near Synkivka. And further south, in the area of Ivanivka, offensive actions and a large number of shelling attacks also continues. In the direction of Svatove, the situation remains unchanged. There is minimal shelling with no offensive action. In the direction of Kreminna, the occupiers conducted 3 attacks near the village of Terny over the past day. However, they didn't achieve any success, and the front line remains unchanged. Nevertheless, shelling continues, and the gathering of new reserves continues, indicating that fighting will likely continue in the near future. In the Siversk direction, there are reports of shelling, but the offensive actions towards Bilohorivka have ceased. The occupiers failed to capture the village and have once again resorted to regrouping. In the Bakhmut direction, battles continue for Ivanivske and Klishchiivka. The occupiers conducted 3 attacks over the day, all of which were successfully repelled by our units. Additionally, shelling hasn't ceased along the entire front line. Today, everyone began to recall Syrskyi's statement that conditions were ripe for the return of Bakhmut in 2023. Unfortunately, this hasn't yet been achieved. Perhaps he will now be able to turn the situation around. So what do you think about this? Be sure to share your thoughts in the comments. In the Avdiivka direction, the occupiers continue to advance aggressively on the outskirts of the city and continue to make progress there. Intense fighting is taking place around the coke and chemical plant and in the private sector. A spokesperson for the Ukrainian Joint Forces Operation Tavria reported that the situation there is actually worse than what we see on the map.
Combat clashes are taking place not only in the private sector in the north of the city, but also within urban areas. The enemy's plan is obvious. He is trying to cut off Ukrainian forces by entering between the Avdiivka coke plant and the quarry. The spokesman of the Tavria Joint Task Force confirms the fighting in the urban area of Avdiivka.
So, it turns out that the occupiers are already seriously encroaching into the city. Additionally, from the southern side, Russian attempts to expand controlled territory continue. But they haven't achieved any success over the past day, so the front line remains unchanged. Further south, battles are ongoing in the areas of Pervomaiske and Nevelske, but the Russians haven't had any success here either. In the direction of Marinka, unfortunately, the occupiers are getting closer to Heorhiivka. The situation there is extremely complex. Meanwhile, the occupiers are intensively shelling Kurakhove and other villages near the front line. Offensive actions are also underway in the settlements of Verbove and Vuhledar. However, over the past day, they haven't been able to improve their positions and the front line remains unchanged. In the direction of Vuhledar, the occupiers continue shelling along the entire front line, but no new attacks are being reported as before. We are still waiting to see how events will unfold further. In the direction of Zaporizhzhia, the occupiers continue shelling along the entire front line and attempt to expand controlled territory near Verbove. In the direction of Kherson, the occupiers continue shelling the entire right bank, and the General Staff reports that attempts to push the Ukrainian armed forces out of the left bank are ongoing. Although Russian military correspondents claim that no assaults were conducted, they only attempted to break down Ukrainian positions in Marinka with shelling.
Today, as yesterday, we did not storm the bridgehead, but our artillery and mortars worked on it. Aviation was not used against the enemy's bridgehead, as always. And today our small aircraft did a very good job, which now flies much further. Very soon, the enemy will be hot in the village of Kyiv. There is information that in order to destroy the enemy's tiny bridgehead, General Teplinsky asked the General Staff to transfer the 58th OA to the Dnipro main army, which is now in the Zaporizhzhia direction.
Overall, if this is true, it could be very challenging in that area in the near future. Also, an interview between Tucker Carlson and Putin appeared online yesterday. You can watch the entire interview on Tucker's website, but we will briefly go over the main points.
Russia has not yet achieved the goals of the special military operation, because one of them is denazification. Black Small Square Ukraine started the war, Russia's goal is to end it. Black Small Square Nord Stream was blown up by the United States. Black Small Square negotiations with Ukraine in 2022 were almost completed, but after the withdrawal of troops from Kyiv, Ukrainian side threw out all agreements. Black Small Square. The word Ukrainian originally did not denote a separate ethnic group, it only indicated that a person lived on the outskirts of the state, in the land. Black small square. The name Ukraine was invented by the Poles. Black small square. Zelensky came to power expecting to bring Ukraine to peace, but realized that it was better not to quarrel with neo-Nazis and nationalists. Black small square. The US forced Russia to take Crimea and Donbass under its protection in 2014 because Ukraine started a war against them. Black small square. Russia has never refused to negotiate with Ukraine. Let Ukraine cancel its decree and enter into negotiations. Black small square. Today, Ukraine is undoubtedly a satellite of the United States. Black small square. Ukrainians still feel like Russians. What is happening now is to some extent an element of the civil war. Black small square. After Kukma, Yanukovych won, but the United States did not like it. They staged a coup and brought pro-Western Yushchenko to power. Black small square. It would be more rational for the United States to come to an agreement with Russia and respect it and its interests. Black small square. We have made so many gestures of goodwill that it seems to me that we have exhausted all limits. Black small square. Putin, applause for a Nazi in Canada is evidence that Hitler's cause is still alive.
And that's all from me. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.